Hi and welcome back to my channel. In this video I'm going to show you guys how to do baby closet dividers. What you'll need is a hot glue gun, a pair of scissors, a pencil and a Sharpie, Mod Podge. You can use a foam brush or a paint brush like this, scrapbook paper, and closet dividers. Let's get started. The first thing you want to do is grab your scrapbook paper and you want your closet dividers, and I'll have a link for those down below if you guys are interested. They're fairly cheap, around $6 or $7. Now you want to go ahead and trace your dividers, and you want to try to get as close to the actual divider as possible, just because it will help you out in the future. But I'm using 3 different color papers, but you can use all the same color or all different. It's completely up to you. Once you've traced them, you should end up with something similar to this. Now that you've traced your divider, you want to go ahead and cut it out, and if you're using the length that I'm providing, you're going to want to cut inside of the mark or the trace that you have. This is a very easy DIY, and it's something personal that you can give that you've made, and it really doesn't take too much. It's just a little bit of cutting and a little bit of adjusting, which is, you can get the hang of it. The first one might be a little difficult, but after that, it should be really easy for you to finish the rest. One of the parts that I felt was the most difficult to actually get to adjust to fit was a centerpiece, but what I suggest is just cutting little bits around, around the edges at a time, and it's better to do this instead of cutting too much off and then you have to start from scratch. What I did was I tried to perfect the first one and then just use that to finish the other 5. Now that you got it as close as you possibly could, you want to take out your brush and your Mod Podge, and you want to start attaching the paper to the dividers. I like to use very little and use really thin layers just because I think it avoids the bumps and the bubbles in the paper. But I just start off with one corner and I very lightly apply the Mod Podge. I wouldn't suggest putting Mod Podge on the whole divider and then putting the paper on. I would suggest doing parts of it, maybe a quarter at a time, and then applying the paper, and then Mod Podge, and then finish applying the paper. The parts that you want to pay really close attention to are the corners and the edges. You want to make sure that there's enough Mod Podge there for the paper to stick so that it doesn't lift in the future. You've completely attached the paper, your divider should look something like this. What I'm doing here is I'm using my fingernail to go all the way around the edge of the divider, just because this particular divider has a lip to it. If you buy other dividers from somewhere else and they don't have a lip, then you can skip this step. But if you don't have fingernails or they're not long enough, you can use a toothpick. This is just a small swivel knife that I use when I scrapbook, and I'll have the link for this exact knife down below if you guys are interested. If not, just use an X-Acto knife or a small box cutting knife. You might not be able to get it as perfect, but they will work just fine. This is the part of the DIY that you want to try to be the most careful with, just because if your hand does slip, you can cut more of the paper than you would like. But like I said, this is a very easy DIY, and even if you cut off a little bit too much, it's really not that noticeable, especially since it's going to be in a closet, probably covered up with hangers and stuff like that. I do like this swivel knife just because it does swivel, so it makes it easier to cut around the edges of a circular object. But you can do it just as easily with an X-Acto knife or a small box cutting knife. The knife itself isn't too expensive, it's around $10, but you can use it for a lot of different projects, and they're really good for cutting small items out, or even like tracing something out that you want to cut, pictures if you scrapbook. These work really good. Once you've traced it all the way around, you can see it's really easy to come off. And you want to try to do this, slowly, just in case you miss the spot and you don't want to rip the paper off the actual divider. Once you've taken the paper off the edges, your divider should look something similar to this. This is what mine look like all finished. Sorry for the lighting in this clip. I didn't realize this when I was filming it, but you can get the gist of what I'm doing. If you use different paper like I did, you want to try to arrange them in the way that you want them to be displayed when you give them to the person that you're giving them to, or the way you want them to sit in your closet if this is for you. Once you figured out how you want them to be displayed, you want to go ahead and grab your Sharpie and you want to start labeling them. So depending on what you're using them for, depends on what you're going to label them for. I'm using this as a baby shower gift, so I'm going to divide the clothes between different age groups for the baby. So the first one is obviously a newborn. That way the parents can set up the closet with all the newborn clothes at the front, and they're going to know, these are all the newborns and so on and so forth. You can divide the actual age however you would like. I just did it kind of like the generic way where most people have the babies fit in a certain age group, and I think I did it by 3 months. So like this one would be 0 to 3 months. The next one would be 3 to 6 months, and then 6 to 12 months, and 12 months to 18 months, 18 to 24 months. This is what they look like, and I guess I jumped around between 3 and 6 months in between each divider. Another way that you can use to label these are stickers, stamps. You can print them off a computer and then, cut them out and paste them on there with Mod Podge. This is what mine ended up looking like. I really hope you guys enjoy this video. Please don't forget to comment, rate, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.